time to dip back into the vault for an interview with a TV star who passed away this June at 94. He was teamed with another guy in his 90s who died 10 days later. Hear more about both in this nostalgic episode of Brio TV, the podcast. Hi, I'm your host, Bill Brio. Thank you for joining me as we hop into TV's Wayback Machine. Now, back in April of 2022, I interviewed Ronnie Schell, who was a familiar face on television throughout the 60s and 70s. Probably best remembered as being Jim Nabors' barracks buddy on Gomer Pyle, USMC. To many Canadians, Schell will also be remembered for voicing the Hockey Night in Canada character Peter Puck. The actor-comedian went on to co-star in several Disney movies and perform in nightclubs, but he also starred in an all-but-forgotten series called Good Morning World. This one-season wonder about two morning show disc jockeys paired Schell with Joby Baker, a Montreal native who played surfers in a few Gidget movies and a drummer in the Elvis Presley feature Girl Happy. When Carl Reiner, Sheldon Leonard, Bill Persky, and Sam Denoff were looking to create a follow-up hit to the Dick Van Dyke Show, they saw Baker as their new Van Dyke. But really, Baker and Schell were playing versions of Persky and Denoff, who, back in the 50s, worked as New York disc jockeys. Billy DeWolf played their fuss-budget boss, and if people remember this series at all, it's probably for launching the TV career of a future Oscar winner and laugh-in standout, Goldie Hawn. In this interview, Schell talks about working on Good Morning World and hints that Baker, while a good actor, was not great at remembering his lines. Persky, who was also an earlier podcast guest, told me that a lamp from the set was auctioned off after the series ended. When he went to check out the lampshade later, he noticed something written on it and recognized the words because they were some of Baker's lines. Anyway, let's travel back to the 60s and hear more about Good Morning World, Joby Baker, and other adventures in television from Ronnie Schell, who 4 years ago was 90 years old when we did this interview.
I'm fascinated, if I may call you Ronnie Schell. Sure. A lot of entertainers that you came up with, and I'm thinking of folks like Carl Reiner and Dick Van Dyke. Oh. They also served in the military. What did that experience give you in terms of your career as an entertainer? Was there something you learned from those days that stuck with you?
Very definitely. Deep into my, I was in 4 years, as I said, and around the end, I think it was in the third year, the United States Air Force dance band, called the Airmen of Note, out of Bowling Air Force Base in Washington, D.C., were looking for an intermission comedian. And I happened to fit the bill because I did a lot of Air Force shows. And so they asked me to do a concert with them. And so I did. I opened for them and during their intermission. And they liked me so much that they signed me. So my whole last year was touring with the United States Air Force Dance Band and doing concerts. So, yeah, I got a lot of experience.
And this would have been in the 1950s?
It was 1954.
Wow, my goodness. And then from there, how did you get to performing? Well, at what point did you want to be a performer? Did it start in the Army or earlier in your when you were in school?
You know, I got to be honest with you, Bill. I never had that great desire to be a performer. It just sort of came natural to me. And I remember for the first few years, it was a little nerve-wracking because I was always afraid I was going to get up and bomb. And I was very lucky. For some reason, I was funny. And so I got up and started working as a nightclub comedian early on, but I never really had any ambition. I had no ambition to be a big star. Well, and I like to say the way my career turned out, it worked out.
I think it did. I want to know, when did you get this? Did you give yourself this title as America's slowest rising comedian?
In San Francisco, I worked with a fellow who passed on now, a radio personality named Don Sherwood, and he was just big in San Francisco in the Bay Area, and he called me that one time after me appearing on his show, and I thought that was a good moniker, so I adopted it, and now I'm America's slowest rising old comedian.
Well, we should get along. I'm Canada's slowest rising podcaster, so we're on the same vibe, I guess. And Mr. Sherwood, I think I read somewhere that if it not for fate or circumstance, he could have been the next Johnny Carson, right?
Alcohol.
Too bad. How sad.
He was a son. You're absolutely right. It's very, very, very good for you to remember that, because he was assigned to take, I think it was Jack Parr's place or Steve Allen's, and he went to Chicago, got drunk, and said, "I can't stand this Midwest," and quit. Came back and was a star in the Bay Area till about, I guess 4 or 5 years later, and then the old booze and cigarettes got him. Passed away.
That's sad. When you were in the Bay Area, then you were performing at these clubs I've read about, and they're legendary. Yeah. The Hungry Eye. Certainly, you were performing with the Kingston Trio, the Purple Onion too, I think, right?
That was the start.
Wow.
The way you usually forget, the Purple Onion and the Hungry Eye were across the street from each other, and the performer, comedian mainly, or singer, would start his career at the Purple Onion, and then if he did well, he'd work at the Hungry Eye. And so I auditioned. I was a senior. I'd done my Air Force, and I was in college. I was a senior at San Francisco State, and I was always funny, I guess. And so a friend of mine said, "Why don't you audition your Air Force act down at the Purple Onion? They have auditions on Saturday." I said, "Oh, okay." So I wasn't that enthused. So I went down there, and they hired me from the audition, and I stayed there 5 months, and auditioning at the same time with the Kingston Trio and a lady named Phyllis Stiller.
Wow. Amazing.
And so we all worked together for 5 months at the Purple Onion, and then Phyllis went on to be a big star, and the Kingston Trio started touring, mainly colleges and campuses and stuff like that, and they said, why don't you come and be with us? You're a comedian. So I went with them off and on for 2.5 years.
Wow.
Getting a lot of experience and a lot of fun.
Well, what gave you the courage that very first night when you were up there? Were you very nervous? When you got your first laugh, did that make all the difference?
You know what happened? The very first night, I invited all my friends.
Smart.
Don't ever invite your friends.
Why? That seems
they're
like
not there to laugh. They're there to talk. Oh, Ronnie, don't be silly. Come off the stage. Let's talk and have a drink. And my first show after my audition was on a Friday night, and it was packed with my friends. And I did okay, not great. So one of the owners said, "Well, he did all right. Let's let him go." So the director of entertainment, a guy named Barry Drew, said, "Let's give him one more chance." And so my friends cleared out, and we had an audience of, just plain people who didn't know me. And I really scored on the second, and that's how I got the job. And then for 5 months, I stayed there with Phyllis and the Kingston Trio. And then I told you what happened. And then I went on to tour with them, and Phyllis went on to be a big star.
And you mentioned that you toured through Canada, that you did shows in Toronto and Montreal. And did you perform? Did you do any shows in Vancouver?
Yes, and I can't remember the name of the club. I worked the club there. I can't remember the name of it, but I love Vancouver. Vancouver because a little like San Francisco.
Yeah, I guess.
Weather and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I heard a good play, Vancouver. I think I played there twice.
Nice.
But then I played London, Ontario.
Huh.
In a what call it a cowboy a rodeo place where they have rodeos.
Okay.
We did well there. Kingston Trail in those days just packed them in.
Yeah.
I was always standing room only. And then I went on to Toronto and played Massey Hall. A good engagement there. Then I went to this new Queen Elizabeth something.
Probably the Queen Elizabeth Hotel in Montreal. It's a beautiful big place.
Was there a theater there at all? Did they open
There must be. I'm afraid I'm not familiar with it, but certainly there would be.
I went there and I scored, and of course I was young then, and I was not married, and so I got all the Kingston Trail rejects.
Those were the days.
They were the days. But I went to a party of Canucks and college kids, and I made the mistake, and it was an honest mistake. I said, I think Canada and the United States should get together, and we should have just one big. And oh boy, did they! Oh, come on, get out of here, go on back.
Well,
I didn't fool with that thing anymore.
Those were the days. Listen, I'm curious too to know, from what I understand from the Purple Onion and the Hungry Eye, this was really the beatnik scene, wasn't it? This was that. What? And so this was part of your act, I understand. Did you?
Yes, I did a lot of material talking about the beatniks, and in fact, it was during the last month of fate does it all. It's all fate and luck. And during the last month of Phyllis's engagement, she was starting to gain sort of a national reputation. So the head of You Bet Your Life, remember that television?
Sure, yeah.
Groucho Marx sent George Fenneman, who was the announcer.
Right.
He was from San Francisco. He said, go up and get Phyllis and get her to do our show. So he flew up and he got her to do the show. And he saw me and said, hey, you'd be good on Groucho's show too. And so I was on the second week after Phyllis. And that was my first big, and it was big in those days. You Bet Your Life.
For sure. The big national show. Ronnie, I saw it. I watched it on YouTube. I've seen your performance.
Okay. Yeah.
Just saw it. And you're very calm and collected. You look like you've done TV for years. Were you really very nervous because you hit it well?
For some reason I wasn't, because I at that point, as I told you early on, I had no ambition to be a big star. So, I went on and with a little bit of confidence, and I thought, I'll do a good show. And Groucho was, contrary to what you might have heard, Groucho was really nice, really great. And so it worked out well, and I won $600 when I guessed the secret word, table.
And that was big money back then, right?
Yeah, still is.
Yeah.
But so that's how I did that show, and then I later was doing I did a number of Johnny Carson shows, and and one of the shows Groucho was in the audience, and he was very nice to me. I remember you, great stuff, and very complimentary.
I can't imagine meeting Groucho Marx. That must have been an amazing moment for you.
Oh, thrilled.
Yeah. And you're being modest about the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. I understand you were on like 12 times, both in...
Actually, 6.
Okay, well, you were on with Johnny Carson in New York as well as Los Angeles, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, and it was the Merv Griffin show that I did 54.
My goodness, wow, that's fantastic.
But Carson was the show to do for comedians, because if you did a Carson show, wherever, in New York or LA, the next day you walk downtown and everybody says, "Oh, I saw you last night."
Yeah, that's fantastic.
He was to me, the best of all those guys.
Yeah.
Not the easiest guy to know, but the best of the talk show hosts.
Yeah, I've heard that he could be somewhat aloof off screen.
Dry prick. He could be a prick.
Okay, let's call it what it is. But
when he drank,
yeah,
you didn't want to get near him.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That that they always talk about Ed McMahon drinking, but really he was a much happier fellow.
Absolutely, and I don't think he was that close to Ed McMahon. Johnny Carson had no close friends. I knew that because one of the people that I worked with later, an actor named Billy DeWolf, I don't remember him.
Yes.
But, he was as close as you got to Carson, and Carson would see him about once a month at a hotel for dinner downtown L.A., and he was just not a friendly type of guy.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
But he was a genius at what he did, I thought.
Yes, he
was. I was always thrilled. But, you never knew. I remember one time I went in the dressing room. It was about the third time I was on the show. So he knew me, and he always put me in the panel. I sat there, and in walks Carson, sits next to me, and gets made up. Doesn't say hello, doesn't say, "Hey, welcome back to the show." And then I just had to play like I didn't know him.
Wow.
Gomer Pyle, USMC.
Hear more from the late Ronnie Schell after this short message.
Starring Jim Nabors as Gomer Pyle. Also starring Frank Sutton as Sergeant Carter.
What's new this summer on Paramount Plus Canada? Well, get set to be all shook up by epic Elvis Presley in concert, which will make its streaming debut July 24th exclusively on Paramount Plus in Canada. The film is already running on Paramount Plus in the U.S. From director Baz Luhrmann, this film invites audiences to experience Elvis Presley like never before, featuring long-lost footage from his legendary Las Vegas residency in the 1970s, alongside rare 16mm footage from Elvis on tour and treasured 8mm film from the Graceland archive. This footage was restored by Peter Jackson, who worked miracles bringing the Beatles' Let It Be footage back to life for Get Back. Epic has also garnered widespread critical acclaim, with Vogue calling it, quote, a burst of concert film adrenaline, and Time praising its profoundly intimate approach. Check it out this summer exclusively on Paramount Plus. And here he is again, Ronnie Schell.
We'll get to Billy DeWolf in a moment because I want to catch up with all of that story. But at this point, you're getting all this national TV exposure. You've paid your dues in the clubs. You're doing stand-up. And did you, at this point, was it your ambition then to be on television regularly? What was your plan?
My ambition was to make money. I'm not one of those show businesses my whole life. It was fairly easy for me to make people laugh, and I was a fairly good actor, and so I just went along with it, and it worked out pretty well. I made a very good living, and so to answer your question, I never had that big ambition.
Well, how did you become part of Gomer Pyle?
Okay. My last year, I toured with the Institute for 2.5 years. In fact, I was on one of their albums, College Concert, on Marcia, I don't remember. And my manager, a guy named Dick Link, who also handled Andy Griffith and Jim Nabors, and Ken Berry and Jerry Van Dyke and sort of other people. He said, I toured with him for a while, and Dick came to me and said, listen, Jim's going to do a takeoff on his own show, and if it goes, you'd be good to be his sidekick.
Yeah.
And I said, sure. And again, I was just, that's great when I travel a lot. So I went up and I auditioned. Now, I was a little nervous then because I auditioned in front of Carl Reiner.
Wow.
Sheldon Leonard, who was the big man.
Yep.
Yeah. And they chose me, and I looked out, and I was on Jim's television show, Gomer Pyle, for 4 years. I took 1 year out, which I'll tell you about later, to do my own show. And then we came back the 5th year, and after that we did the variety show, the Jim Nabors Hour, which was a big hit on CBS, but was canceled because the new president, Freddie Silverman, never forget that name, canceled us because he didn't want any hick shows. And he thought Jim was a hick and Andy was a hick and Petticoat.
You got swept out with that same broom that the Beverly Hillbillies and all those great shows. There's so many of them that they just decided overnight we want to get rid of.
We were ahead of our variety show was ahead of Carol Burnett.
Well, as a matter of fact, people don't realize or remember Gomer Pyle was a monster hit. It was the #1 show in all of America. It was more popular than Laugh-In or anything you could think of. Yeah, exactly. So to be on that show, you literally probably could not walk down the street and not have people shouting out at you, right?
Well, it's interesting, Bill. It was more popular in the Midwest and the South. And in New York and L.A., it was hard to get recognition amongst the critics. They sort of went along with Freddie Silverman, I guess, and thought it was sort of a hit show. But our producer, a guy named Aaron Rubin, he was a nephew of a very great comedy writer, Nat Hiken.
Of course, yeah. Sergeant Bilko and...
yes, absolutely. Sergeant Bilko, you're right.
Yeah.
And he just knew, if you watch that show, it's a simple family show, and it holds up. It still holds up today.
Yeah.
It's still playing a lot on television.
Yeah. Nat Hiken was like the Norman Lear or one of the comedy geniuses.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
And you mentioned Carl Reiner and Sheldon Leonard, Jerry Van Dyke, but you...
Jerry Van Dyke was best man at my wedding, believe it or not.
I read that and I thought, oh my goodness. Do you ever think back talk about being in a time and a place and all of these people that we all know from watching television, they were part of your circle of friends. It must be kind of extraordinary to have that. Well,
Jerry Van Dyke was also in the Air Force.
Oh, okay.
And so he toured in the show called Tops and Blue. And so I didn't, because I was with the Airmen of Note. And so when he got out, we got to know each other, because I'd go into a club and he'd go in afterwards, or he'd go in the club and I'd go in and afterwards. We'd talk about each other. And then we became good friends. And then when I got married, he was my best man.
Wow. And some would say Jerry was the funny Van Dyke.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Absolutely. I was watching him yesterday on a rerun, and I know Dick's still alive, probably would admit this. He was a lot funnier than Dick. Dick was a great song and dance man, like a Fred Astaire.
Yeah.
Jerry was hysterically funny.
I once interviewed Jerry Van Dyke years ago. I used to work for TV Guide in Canada, and I called and he left me a number. I would call it now and then just to listen to his answering machine, because it always had a funny message on it.
Yeah.
It was fun just to listen to him speak.
Funny sense of humor. Funny man. We were friends right up until he passed.
Yeah.
Didn't take care of himself.
Yeah, too bad. Now, again, with Carl Reiner and Sheldon Leonard, though, these guys were involved in another show, as well as some of their main writers, Bill Persky and Sam Denoff. So they create Good Morning World, and you get a call to be on that show. Tell me how that came about.
Well, what happened was Bill Persky and Sam Denoff used to hang around together and converse with all of us. And I was very funny to them, and they said, "You ought to do your own show. You don't need to do Gomer Pyle." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "Well, would be your salary." I said, "Okay, when do we leave?"
It worked out good.
So I reluctantly said to Jim, "I think I'm going to be a big star now, so I don't need you anymore." I said it in a kind way. And I'm going to attempt to do my own show, Good Morning World, which I did for, I think, 27 episodes.
Right.
And we were on at the wrong time. In those days, it was your Nielsen ratings were the thing. And we were like, I think the highest we got was 43 or 44. And my co-star, a great serious actor named Joby Baker, had problems the whole time because we did our show in front of a live audience, and he didn't like live audiences, and it really hurt his career.
I understand. Yeah, he didn't have the best memory for
the worst.
Yeah. So and Joby Baker, and let us set it up for people. This was a show about disc jockeys who had a morning show. And they played records. I think Bill Persky and Sam Denoff actually did this. It was a bit based on their own early days, I think. Is that true?
They'd work with William D. Williams.
Oh, yeah. William D. Williams. He did the theme song for the show.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And so Bill and Sam knew radio, and so that's how they wanted to.
That's how it came about. And then as part of the mix, Billy D. Wolf was your boss at the radio station.
Was I can't remember what we called him, but he was the program director, and he loved Joby on camera, but hated me.
Right.
Because, I don't know, I was a wild type of guy, and
as the character.
It was a thrill to work with him. Jeez.
Yeah, everyone talks glowingly about Billy D. Williams. Tell me his trademark line again. I'm sure you remember, Ronnie.
You talking about William D. Williams or Billy D. Wolf?
Billy D. Wolf. I'm sorry, Billy D. Wolf.
Busy.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And he wore this terrible toupee.
Yes, he did.
And he would say to you, "Mr. Schell, I'm going to ask you, is this fit?" I said, "You mean your toupee?" "Don't we never discuss it? We call it, we never discuss it." I said, "Okay, it's fitting good." At one time he said, "I've got to go down to the barber's, and I don't know whether to go with it or send it down."
Well, he's a very funny man. He went on to do the Doris Day show later, and
yes, he did.
Yeah, now Toby again. We talked about him. I believe he was from Montreal. Joby Baker.
That's right. I forgot. He's a Canuck.
Yeah,
and he went on. He was a very good painter.
Oh my goodness! Did not know that.
And I think he's still doing it. He later married Andre Previn's widow, and they moved to somewhere back east, and I think he's still doing the painting.
Wow.
He's a good guy, really a good guy, but
couldn't memorize anything.
Problems.
Talk to me about Julie Parrish. She played the wife. She was sort of the Laura Petrie on that show, right?
Yes. The reason what we never discovered till later was that she had cancer off and on, and when they hired her, she had just recovered from a cancer operation. And in fact, we should have had a hint, because at the reading, she was on the floor sleeping.
Wow.
So we had to wait for him to get in and say, But so she was always very soft and, not comedically oriented, but good actress because she did a lot of serious stuff.
Yeah.
And,
That's sorry to hear that about her. Now, there was another actress on the show that people heard of later on by the name of Goldie Hawn. Now, my goodness.
What happened to her?
Could you spot her coming a mile away? Did you think, my goodness, this lady's going to have a career?
Yes. What happened was Goldie started out as a go-go dancer in Baltimore. And she had a chance to play a chorus girl in an Andy Griffith TV special. So they hired her, and then Bill and Sam saw her and said, hey, she'd be great playing your girlfriend. I said, okay. So she came on the show, and a cocky little actress, very good.
Yeah.
Very, very funny. But she didn't like to over-rehearse. I can remember after the fourth week, we'd rehearse. I wasn't married at the time, and so we'd rehearse in my apartment at night. And one time, about the fourth week, he said, Goldie, you're never going to make it. You know why? You're not disciplined. You gotta learn your lines and know them backwards and forwards. Look at me, watch me. I've been in the business 2 or 3 years, and I know what's going to happen. I'm going to be, but you're not going to last that long. She won the Academy Award the next year.
Oh, wow.
I found out while working some toilet in Omaha. And by the way, she never let me forget it.
That's funny. Well, you later were...
Her husband, which he never married, but lived with...
Kurt Russell. Yeah.
I did a lot of Disney films, and the very first one I did, he was...
You did, yeah. The Strongest Man in the World with Kurt Russell.
I played the referee.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, this is a story that's out of sequence, but I think you find it interesting.
Yeah.
We later years, I'm talking about now and the last few years, there's a group of us writers, mostly writers and actors, meet every Friday in a place called the Farmers Market. And
in Los Angeles?
Huh?
In Los Angeles?
In Los Angeles, yes.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place. I've been there.
Yes,
Yeah.
And so about 6 months ago, and occasionally guests would come in and sit with us. I mean, and 6 months ago, the wild guy that grew up working in a place where they sell TV records and stuff like that, and became a great director. He won the Academy Award.
Oh, Quentin Tarantino.
Bingo.
Yep.
He came in one morning, sat with us, and he looked at me, and I was trying to do my impressions. I only do one impression, clock table. That was it. I remember you, Ronnie.
Wow.
And he said, I said, really? He said, yes. Here's one for you. And he started doing these lines. And I said, well, those are great. Who did that? He said, you did. Strongest man in the world. He remembered
wow.
These.
Wow.
Strongest man in the world. He was very pro showbiz and pro actors and stuff like that. But I was very impressed that he...
that is so cool.
He heard my lines.
Well, from what I understand, he collects 16mm films. He's a real student of film. And I think I mentioned to you earlier before we talked here that I collect film and I have a print of Good Morning World. And I just bought it off of eBay, and it came in. And
Which one?
It's an episode.
I had great shows, and then I had some where I was hardly in it. Story between Joby and Julie.
Yeah, there's stuff at home where he on the radio has goofed on her, saying that she's a spendthrift and she doesn't, save money properly, and so the grocer's trying to sell her the cheaper watermelons, and then when she's mad at him when he gets home,
That must have been one where I didn't have much to do because I don't remember it.
Well, we see you guys at the radio station. You're spinning records, and Billy DeWolf is breaking them. But a lot of that episode did happen at the home front. What's interesting to me about the print that I bought, at the very end of it, they have the final credits, and then there was a CBC logo from the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. So this was a print that was circulated in Canada, which was kind of fun to me. But anyway, yeah.
Peter Buck here again. This time I'm going to tell you about playing the game.
Schell tells us how he became Peter Puck after this message.
First, let's take a look at the rink. The game starts right here at the center face-off circle, like this. The referee drops little old me onto the ice between the two opposing centers. Hi, guys. Now, easy does it, fellas. This is only a demonstration, you know.
Well, time once again to check in with Emily Gagne at Holly. Oh, wait. Emily's on summer vacation. Oh, I have to do this. Well, I'm going to have to do this myself. All right. Well, listen, apologies in advance, but I'm here to tell you about what's new on Hollywood Suite. And I'm talking about the month of July. And we got a brand new series. It's called The Revenge Club, and it's a British crime dramedy series. It's coming on July 10th on Hollywood Suite, and it's created by Gabby Asher, who did The Girlfriend. And it also stars Amy Fillion-Edwards from Slow Horses, one of my favorite shows. Many other great stars, Martin Compson and Douglas Henshaw from Shetland, and Sharon Rooney from Barbie. So what's it about? Okay, I'm glad you asked. 6 divorce support group members shift from seeking healing to plotting revenge. Their shared pain creates an unexpected alliance, turning therapeutic meetings into something more sinister. It's called The Revenge Club. It's a British crime dramedy, and it's on this month on Hollywood Suite.
Thanks, Bill.
And we're back.
So you're doing Good Morning World, and then it doesn't work. Some reason the audience is not enough people are watching, and you come back on Gomer Pyle.
When the show was canceled, Dick Link said to me, "Listen, I will try to get you back on Gomer Pyle." Okay. Well, he had power because he was associate producer, right? So he hired me to play Sergeant Carter, Frank Sutton's I guess you call it sidekick in his office.
Right.
And it was a thrill for me to get that right away, but sad because they had to fire the regular guy named Roy Stewart, plays Corporal Boyle, if you saw the earlier.
Right.
He was a very good actor. And I aced him out. But he was never angry at me. I don't know if you ever knew that I was quick to take his place just because I was the manager's.
Well, if fans of that show remember you on it, and I'm sure we're happy to see you back for that final season.
Yeah.
That was some continuity for people who love that show. And then, quickly, there's so much to cover. I need to be very generous with your time, but I want to just touch on your films for Disney. You made quite a few, The Shaggy DA, Gus.
I did eight films for.
Yeah, like all through the 70s. And the people that you're working with here, we mentioned Kurt Russell was in The Strongest Man, but Joe Flynn, Eve Arden, Cesar Romero, Phil Silvers.
You're naming them all.
Well, with
Ed Asner.
Ed Asner, Suzanne Plachette,
Tim Conway twice.
Yeah. I mean, Don Knotts on Gus.
The best.
Hey, really? Tell me a Don Knotts story.
Well, the only thing I can tell you about Don Knotts is that we became very close friends. Don Knotts was probably second to me as far as being a hypochondriac. That's the one thing I didn't tell you about. I was am sort of a hypochondriac. I thought I had every disease that everything came by. Well, I was upped by Don Knotts. I mean, he fought every time he was dying. And so we became friends, and then we became social friends, his wife and my wife. We all got together a lot. And in fact, I think I was closer to him than I was to Andy, who I worked with a lot.
Huh?
And, but he was such a great guy. But the one cute story is I think, he got a blood clot in his leg, and actually had to go to the hospital under the emergency. And he was in his room, and Andy said, "Come on, let's go visit Don." So as we're going near his room, I noticed the door was open, and I said to Andy, quite loud, "Now, have they told Don the truth, or is he going to live through this?" I never forgot that.
Wow. You literally were pulling his leg.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, literally. Right.
Yeah. We got to talk about an important thing here that happened in middle of all this is Peter Puck. And, this is, you're making these Disney films. And, but before this, even, I believe you were starting to do voice work for Hanna-Barbera.
Did a lot of voice work. I did a lot of series for Hanna-Barbera before I did Peter. I think after I did Peter Puck. But before we talk about Peter, I did the only animated movie that I'm getting old. Comedian, very funny. I don't get any respect.
Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah, Rodney. He wrote a movie, an animated film.
Yes.
Called Rover Dangerfield.
Right. Yeah, you're in that.
I played his best friend. I did that, and I did a lot of other series as a regular.
You were on Wait Till Your Father Gets Home, right?
Wait Till Your Father Gets Home. Was that Ed Asner?
I don't think so. I think that was Tom Bosley.
Tom Bosley, right? Tom Bosley.
Yeah. And when
I know because I did 3 Happy Days after that.
Right.
Yes.
But when you were recording these animated shows for Hanna-Barbera, I imagine you went to the studio that used to be on Ventura Boulevard there. Yep. And were they ever recorded like a radio show, or was it always you alone in a booth? How did you do the voices?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Usually by myself. And a funny story, there was a comedian writer named Pat McCormick. You remember Big Pat?
Right. Yeah. He did The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. Yeah.
Yes. Very funny. And so when we were driving by the studio, and it was at night, and all the shades were shut down at the studio. So I said, "What's that? They're not working tonight." He says, "Oh yeah, the series." I can't remember the name of it, but it was about blind people. He said, "Yeah, they're working late tonight."
Oh, Longstreet, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, but
yeah. Wow, that's funny.
He said that that's why the shades are down.
That sounds like him.
On the Peter Puck thing is during all this. I don't know if you remember this, but NBC had a contract with somebody in the Canadian thing to do hockey.
Right. They had the broadcast rights for hockey in the United States
for 4 years, right?
Yeah.
And they were aware of the fact that at that time, I don't know what it is now, but at that time, hockey was not a number one sport. In the United States. So they wanted to tell the American, lower Americans, about how to play hockey and what it's all about.
Right.
So they came up with this little character at Hanna-Barbera named Peter Puck.
Yeah.
And it was me. I was an animator, and my job was, I think during the commercials and before and after, to talk about plays and stars and everything like that. And my theme work was always "Love That Hockey."
How did you come up with how a puck would sound like, Ronnie?
Huh? Oh, I saw the character and I thought, well, he have a higher voice. He talk like that. And and then I started getting interviews. And that was scary because raised in San Francisco, there was an ice hockey team, but nobody watched in those days. I didn't know diddly date about ice hockey.
Right.
And so I'd get on the show and go, here, Peter Puck, tell me about, and then they go into intricate details about plays. I had no idea what that was.
and Peter Puck was the guy explaining what an icing was and an offside and everything else, right?
Was the one who was telling them all how to play hockey and what it's all about and everything like that. But in real life, I didn't know anything about hockey.
My thanks to Phil Hong for the recut and cleanup of this conversation with Ronnie Schell, first shared here in April of 2022. Kudos as always to BJ Del Conte, Paul Boudra, and Stephen Dudley for the music heard on these podcasts. And finally, thanks to you, listener. If you liked what you heard, please spread the word. I'm Bill Brio. Thanks for listening.